think, you started that question, well, answering that question with, talking about philosophy, and most people would never think about philosophy when they're talking about training and fitness. So what made you think about philosophy in terms of fitness and training? Was it because of the accident that you had with your dancing career, and you started to think about this more, or was it something you were always kind of aware of and went down that road?
Taking the philosophical or open-minded perspective, or a different thinking perspective, I don't know that I could attribute to any one area. I was very much a reader as a kid. Yeah, I still am. I mean, if I had to sort of point back to a moment in time, I don't know that I could really find one per se.
Mm-hmm.
I was always very influenced by, I mean, if I could really pick out an influence, I was very much a comic book reader as an adolescent, and Batman was my favorite character. And Batman, part of his appeal was that he trained both his mind and his body, and it was those two things operate on an infinite loop. One leads to the other. You can't separate them. And then getting into, let's say, very generically, Eastern philosophy, Oriental philosophy. I mean, this is very level 101, level 50 stuff. I'm not going to go in depth, but if you get into the very basic principles of Buddhism, or even the very basic principles of Ayurvedic yoga philosophy, Hinduism, and this idea that the body exists in a material state, but also your body puts you into the realm of the mind, and your relationship between the two is going to influence the quality of your life as a whole. That was very influential, and I realized when I started training people that people's relationship with their health and their physical body was very much their relationship with the rest of their life. Again, you couldn't separate the two. It was very, I've never really encountered it where somebody was in a very poor state of physical health while also having excellent mental health, while also having a very satisfying life. I've never really seen that. I've seen people where, maybe to some level they're able to accept that, their health is not a priority for them. But when you're physically suffering, you're in pain, or you're slow, you're low energy, you're making compromises on your sleep, on your recovery, on your well-being. When you're making compromises that way, that has an inevitable carryover, bleed-over effect to all the other types of decisions you make. If one of the things one of the critical mistakes people often make early on, let's say with careers, once you make an agreement with yourself that it's okay for you to be tired all the time, that you're going to accept I'm going to accept not getting enough sleep. I'm going to accept that I need coffee to function. I'm going to accept that this is just how it is, and I can't do anything about it because I need to work X amount, and I'm going to let that aspect of my health decline. Once you make that agreement, then everything else is on the table and fair game to be compromised. It's all right, I'm not going to sleep enough. All right, I'm also not going to eat well because one leads to the other. I'm also not going to exercise because you don't have the energy. Oh, then I'm also going to have to accept that my body fat's going to increase. Oh, well, I guess that's going to happen too as a result. So you have these second, third, even fourth order effects pile up. But where did it start? It started with you deciding that it was okay that you were not going to get enough sleep. So once I saw that relationship at play so much with people where health is bad, life is bad. Health is bad, life is bad. Health is bad, life is bad. How do you then go about solving that? Because the traditional prescriptive parameters for fitness, where here's your exercise, here's your diet, that's going to address that problem, but the actual problem itself is everywhere else. So we can carve out a section of it and take sort of the square out of the triangle that way. Oh, well, I fixed this problem. Yeah, but that problem also has 10 other problems that are related to it. Everything has a sort of chain of consequence. So what do you want to solve? Do you want to solve the one thing, or do you want to solve all of it at once? So what's the root to all of these issues? Yeah, and the root inevitably is people's psychology, it's their mindsets, how they approach life as a whole, and how they think about things in general, both generally and specifically. So then you have to approach it from a mental standpoint. And then once you do that, then you realize the physical stuff's easy. It's very easy to give prescriptions that way. Here's a good workout. Do push-ups and chest press and dips. There's your chest workout. It's good. It's good. Thumbs up. That doesn't solve your lack of motivation. It doesn't solve your lack of self-esteem. It doesn't solve your lack of confidence. It doesn't solve that you are uncertain going to the gym. It doesn't address any of the actual problems. I've just given you a list of exercises. So for people that are very self-motivated, self-driven, maybe all they need is a prescription. But that's not most people. If it was, Western society would not have a 70, 80% obesity rate of being or not overweight. What is it now? I think it's about 80% of people in like the United States at least are overweight. So 3 out of 4 people or have excess body fat. So like clearly it's not a prescription problem. It's a psychological social problem.